going to go live. Hey, Tina, welcome. Hey, Kathy, welcome. We're just going live on Facebook. And then we'll be starting soon. Okay, as that goes live, welcome everyone. Okay, thanks for joining, and appreciate you guys listening in on a Wednesday night. Hopefully you're having some good weather where you are. If you don't know me, my name is Renee Roberts, and I'm a registered health and functional nutrition coach and founder of Nourish to Live RX. And I help men and women over 40 develop healthy habits to gain energy and sleep better. So feel free to say hi in the chat and let us know where you're connecting from. And some logistics, if you have any questions during the session, feel free to type them in the chat or the Q&A box. Or if you want to come on audio, just raise your hand and we'll let you on if you want to ask a question live. And I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Tiffany West. Tiffany's going to bring us a fresh awareness of chronic pain and how to approach it in a refreshing way that is not commonly taught. So Tiffany is the founder and CEO of Interior Health Design, LLC, an inner wellness company that promotes healthy living from the inside out. She's a certified life coach, helping people heal from chronic pain naturally by deepening the connection with themselves and their bodies. She adores serving others and finds the most joy in nature, cooking, dancing, meditation, being a mom, and healing her body. So Tiffany, welcome. Thank you for joining my series.
Thank you for having me, Renee. Hi, everybody. Thank you for giving me your time tonight. I'm Tiffany, like Renee said, and I am a Zen life coach. And I just wanted to really come on and talk about chronic pain and how you can look at it differently so that you can actually feel like you can get your life back and you can enjoy your life and feel good. So I wanted to share my story of the steps I've taken along the journey from first being diagnosed, well, first of all, not being diagnosed and being in a ton of pain and not really able to get the answers I was looking for. And then moving from that place to a place of peace and joy. So let's get started. So who am I? I am Tiffany. And I, first and foremost, am a peace junkie. I absolutely love my peace. If it's going to cost me my peace, it's too expensive. I really have found that connecting to that place inside of me has really helped me get through the times when I'm in a lot of pain or feeling really anxious or, having the effects of the chronic pain that I felt throughout my journey. Finding peace has really been my saving grace. So I love the peace and I love to share it and spread it. I'm a proud wife and a mama of 2 beautiful boys. And again, I'm a life coach and I help people live joyfully as they heal through physical, mental, and emotional pain. I started my journey back in 2016. I got certified to be a health coach, as you can see here. And then I got certified to be a transformational coach as I wanted to deepen that work. And then I umbrellaed all of that into becoming a life coach to help people really heal themselves from the inside out. And that affects every area of your life. So I just really enjoy what I do. And I just want to dive in today with our topic at hand. So we are going to be talking about chronic pain. Yes, it's one of the most underestimated problems in the world today. I'd love to see, and Renee, you can probably see the chat. I can't see the chat, but I'd love a raise of hands for anybody that's ever dealt with any kind of physical chronic pain, mental anguish or mental illness, anxiety, depression. Can I get a show of hands of how many people have dealt with it or are currently dealing with it? I'm sure Renee can show me. Okay, awesome.
Yep, I have, Tina has, all of the above, cool. Tina says.
Okay, good. I'm not the only one. So the reason I have the tip of the iceberg, if you've dealt with chronic pain, you can relate. People only really see what's on the surface and they don't really understand what you're actually going through inside and the complete snowball effect it has on you. A quick backstory for me, when I first got put on to feeling like I had a lot of pain in my body, I was just really at a loss and I didn't know what was going on. Doctors couldn't find anything. I went through like 7 years of testing and blood work and MRIs and CAT scans, and nothing was supposedly wrong. And so it was, that in itself was painful. And so that's what got me into diving deeper into the holistic aspect of how I could take more responsibility for my health and start to look a little deeper beneath the iceberg to really get in touch with how I could help myself and heal my body. So I just want to start with some statistics. Pain is super relatable. A lot of people are in it, but not a lot of people talk about it. So that's why I'm here tonight, to just talk about it and get it on the table. And for anybody that's suffering in silence, I just want you to know you're not alone in this, even though it can feel that way. But there are 50 million adults that have chronic pain daily or almost daily. This is reported. So not to mention everything that's not reported. So chronic pain is the #1 cause of long-term disability in America. And I just think that it could be prevented and it could be healed as well. So that's why I'm so passionate about what I do and really helping people heal themselves if they're not getting the care that they need. It's globally estimated that 1.5 billion people suffer from chronic pain. That's a lot. That is not how we're meant to be living our lives. We've kind of taken it on. I don't know if you're anything like me, but it just becomes a normal. Some people think, oh, I'm just getting older, or if you were an athlete when you were younger and you have sore joints, you just think that just comes with the territory. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. Many Americans consider high pain levels to be really normal. And just like I said, they just walk around under this really stressed out state without even realizing the damage that it's doing to our nervous system and to our bodies, to our minds, to our emotions. It's a chronic illness in and of itself, not to mention the chronic illnesses that can come from it. And medication only helps 58% of chronic pain sufferers while having the long-term adverse health effects. And again, these are just reported. So medication is great. I don't want to demonize our Western medical system. However, for me, it just wasn't getting down to the root of what was going on in my body and why I was feeling so much pain. And there was just this dying urge for me to know, like, what is really going on? And I'm still a detective on that today. So I just wanted to let you know that you're not by yourself on your chronic pain journey. So I want to talk about the psychological effects of chronic pain. Let me move this out of the way here. Because as you know, chronic pain doesn't just affect your physical body, like it starts long before it manifests in your body. And this may be new news for some people, and it may be something that you already are well aware of, but our physical body is usually the last place we're going to know if there's more going on that we're out of alignment in our entire being, meaning our energetic body, our spiritual body, our physical body, and our emotional body. So I put this little quote down here. It's definitely all in your head, because when I was going through my endless search of doctors and really just dying for some help, I was literally told it was all in my head. I was given anti-anxiety medication because they couldn't find anything wrong. So the only other solution was like, well, you've got to be making it up. And as I'm sure if you've been through that, anybody can raise their hand if they've been through that. It was infuriating, and it did become very psychological for me. And I did start to create a lot more mental anguish behind the fact that nobody was hearing me. I was hurting. It was affecting my lifestyle. I couldn't be there for my kids the way I wanted to. And it just really sucked. It wasn't fun at all. So pain hurts in the body, but when it's chronic, it really negatively alters your mind as well. So you're not crazy. You do have things going on in your head, and it's not just something you're making up. And so this was a question I asked myself all the time, like, am I going crazy? I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but I've had many times where I just felt like, oh my gosh, if I could just get out of my body or get out of my head and set it down so I could get a closer look. Some of the other psychological effects that I've found on my journey is it can make you very forgetful. You lose your concentration. I know it's really hard for me to focus on things. It can create circumstantial depression, if not just more serious cases of depression. I couldn't sleep. I still have trouble sleeping. I mean, as you know, when you're in a lot of pain, it's really hard to sleep. Irritability, big time. That's on the front and forefront for me, because you're not operating at 100%. So you're testy and you're irritated and you're hurting. And you just want the pain to stop. And then it definitely created a lot of anxiety for me. And as I take you through the slides today and some of the steps that I've gone through to create peace in my life, it'll also help you calm your mind as well, because that extra mental weight definitely doesn't help your body heal at all. So those are the psychological effects. Now I wanted to go into some of the emotional effects of chronic pain. And yeah, I felt like crap, excuse my French there, but that was something that I would replay in my head all the time. And there are still days that you're just hurting and you just don't feel good. So some of the emotional feelings that would come up for me is a lot of fear that my body was failing me, that I was going to just get worse as I got older. I wasn't going to be able to be there for my kids. I wasn't going to be able to interact with my family and friends and do the things I used to do. I used to be very athletic growing up. And I was in karate and gymnastics, and I loved volleyball. And I just had a fear that I was never going to be able to do those things ever again because of the pain I've been in. You lose enjoyment. Things just aren't as fun anymore because you're constantly having this war going on inside of you. I felt really inadequate. Like I said, I used to be really good at sports and I just couldn't keep up anymore. And I don't know exactly who I was trying to keep up with, maybe my old self, but I just didn't feel like I had the same abilities to do the things that I once could do. And it just really took a toll on me. I lost interest in things and it made me very angry. It created a breakdown in my relationships. And I'll get into more of that as we go further into the presentation. And then I just felt very powerless and hopeless. Like the doctors couldn't help me. I didn't know that there was another way to help me. And I just felt trapped in this body and this mind that was just loud, and it felt like a war zone, and there was so much going on, yet I had to keep going and I had to keep showing up and going to work and being there for my family. And I just felt like there was no way out. So I'm here to tell you there is a way out. And if you guys have any other emotions that you have felt or you currently feel behind chronic pain, if you want to share that in the chat, I'd love to review that afterwards to see if I could add to this list or if any of this is relatable for you. All right. So what I created when I was going through my pain is I realized that pain happens in cycles. And technically, this could be called the pain and healing cycle, because you do go through different phases. And I'm sure you're going to be able to relate to a lot of these. But in the beginning of my journey, I really looked at healing as a linear process. And I realize now it's definitely not linear. It's a spiral. So that's why I have this diagram here, just to show, like, give you a visual of how healing works and how these pain cycles will continue to come up. So the first one is the creation. I've studied a lot of Eastern medicine and Ayurveda, and the one thing that I was carrying a lot around that I didn't realize was undigested emotion, a lot of anger that I didn't realize I hadn't processed yet. And there has been science that proves that when we don't deal with our emotions and we don't heal from our traumas from being a child and into adulthood, that energy gets stored into our body. And so this creation phase was something I was really unaware of until I went through all of the cycles. So if you look at it in the spiral, it kind of starts down here. And then I went into a denial phase where that's when I realized that that's the phase I started off in. Like I said, this isn't linear. So these phases, you could be in any of them at any given time. So the denial phase created a lot of resistance. I didn't want it to be happening. I was doing all I could to make it stop, make it go away. I just didn't want to be hurting, and I didn't want to even believe that this was going to be my life. And it created a lot more pain, as I'm sure you could imagine. And I got so tired of denying it that I just surrendered. And that was a whole nother cycle in and of itself that created so much awareness for me around these cycles. And that's when I realized there was a creation phase. And there was some things that I could be doing to help myself, along with getting the help and support that I was able to get sometimes from my medical doctor. And then that surrender took me and brought me that awareness. And then it took me into wanting to take better care of myself. So self-care is another cycle where you start doing things to support your body, instead of, all your energy being put into the denial of what's going on. You're really starting to accept what's happening. That authentic support starts to come in. You start supporting yourself. You start getting support from others. I don't know if you're anything like me, but when I'm in a lot of pain and it's been going on for a long time, I just don't like to talk about it. I get tired of hearing it. I love that people care and they're looking out, but then I just feel like I'm giving so much attention to the pain. Maybe if I stop talking about it, it could go away. So I really, in the self-care phase, just learned to just tell people about it, but I wasn't in denial about it at the time and I wasn't resisting it. So that made a humongous difference in my healing process. And then the last cycle is healthy habits. I started to really create healthier habits, working from the inside out, working on my mindset, working on my nutrition, and working on my emotional wellness, and really trying to dig into those undigested emotions to help that energy move freely throughout my body. And that really created a space for me to live in peace. So I just want to go through these cycles. But before I keep going, I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions about the spiral effect or any of these pain cycles. Are we good, Renee?
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to tell you really quick before we go on, in the spiral here, you could be anywhere on the spiral. When I started, I was way down here. And then as I circle back around each of these cycles, I come up and I just have an expanded awareness and I approach it differently. So in the beginning, when I would be in pain and I would find something that would help me, say my nutrition, and it would work for months at a time, and then I would feel bad again, I felt like I was backtracking. And that's when I was looking at healing as very linear. Whereas when it's spiral, I noticed that this happened a lot. It didn't mean I wasn't making progress. It just meant that I was spiraling back around and circling back around what was going on, so I could continue to pull back the layers and really get to the bottom of what my body was really asking me for. So this is why the spiral effect is so important, because if you're in a lot of pain and you feel like you're getting so close to getting answers and then the pain comes back or it doesn't fully go away, it doesn't mean that you're not making progress. It just means that you're going through these cycles, and it's an opportunity for you to expand your awareness on how you can connect with your body and really understand what your body needs. Okay, so the first phase, first cycle, is the creation. And again, that's undigested emotion. So again, you've got your visible pain at the top, which, is very obvious, but then down below, there's all these invisible causes that the doctors literally couldn't see because they told me there was nothing wrong, but I knew that something was going on with my body. So there's a cause of, the pain. And some of the causes that can create pain in your body, if it goes on for years undetected, is trauma is something that can cause pain in your body. And there's big T trauma and little t trauma. I talk more about that in my one-on-one program with my clients, but just for the sake of time here, big T traumas are like your major trauma events, like physical or sexual abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. If you were in a war, in a car accident, if you've been attacked, things like that, that really shock your system. And then you've got your little t traumas, which are things that really can be super invisible because people don't really realize their trauma. It could be something as simple as you're tugging on your mom when you're little and she's on the phone and she's like, hold on, baby. And she's just not paying any attention to you. Depending on how you ingest that and how you take that into your system, that could be traumatizing for you. And as little people, we don't know how to work through our emotions. Our brains aren't developed enough yet. So we create this meaning or we stuff them away because we feel like that's our way to protect ourselves. So little t traumas could be bullying in school. It could be loud noises that shock your system and you don't realize that you're very empathic and you're sensitive to things like that unless you know about it and you have somebody there that can help you through those things emotionally. They definitely can get trapped and stuck in your body. Abandonment is another cause. Fear, just holding on to fear. And I don't want to say fear is a bad thing. Fear is actually it's a great survival tactic, but when we live in that state, it continues to keep our cortisol levels up and we're constantly in a fight or flight state. And being in that state constantly definitely takes a hold on our body because our bodies are having to be in survival mode, and that's the priority. Whereas healing can't happen when our bodies are just trying to survive. And then negative thinking and self-talk. Self-criticism, self-hatred, all of that falls into that. If you've been that way, I know I can raise my hand. I've dealt with a lot of shame, a lot of not liking myself, and had to do a lot of work on that emotional part of myself, just to see that it even was creating havoc in my body. And so the effect of these 4 things is anger, made me very angry, confused, overwhelmed and super stressed out, like in a chronic state of stress all the time because I didn't know what was going on. And I felt really blind to what was happening within me. And I just felt very disconnected from myself, disconnected from my body, disconnected from other people. Felt like the doctors weren't listening to me. I just felt like nobody understood what I was going through. It also blocks the energy in your body, and that energy is demanding direction. And when it's blocked and doesn't have anywhere to flow, just like our blood flows through our veins, energy runs through our energy body the same way. And if there's blocked emotion and unresolved emotion and things that we are not confronting within ourselves, it doesn't have any place to go. So it kind of crystallizes, if you will, into our physical system, and it can create a lot of havoc in the body. Unexpressed personal power and potential. I didn't realize that this was even something I was affected by until coming through and spiraling through all of these cycles, is that I really didn't realize how much power lived in my pain and how much wisdom my body has to let me know and not let go. It's like the little 2-year-old again, tugging, saying, hey, I'm down here. Pay attention to me, listen to what I have to tell you, because something that you're doing in your life isn't working. So that unexpressed personal power and potential is a huge one. And it goes undetected often because a lot of people don't think that that can create pain in the body. And then it short circuits your whole system, like your whole self as a unit, your being, your emotional body, physical body, spiritual body, and energetic body. And it creates pain and disharmony that manifests in the body. So the second part of the cycle is denial, and that's literally pushing it away. And that's, like I said, what I woke up into. I'm sure there's many that can relate that it's just like, nah, this hurts and I don't want to deal with it. So some symptoms that you are in denial that I experienced myself was a lot of self-sabotage. I still go through this cycle to this day. Just indulging in healthy habits altogether, unhealthy eating habits, binging out on Netflix, really not focusing on being creative or doing the things that I enjoy doing. It just puts me in this like buffer zone where I'm really just sabotaging living out my fullest potential and really following and living, stepping into my purpose. And being aligned with the truth of who I am. It creates more pain. When you're resistant, it really creates high cortisol levels in your body. So there's really a chemistry that's going on inside of you that creates more pain, and it exasperates the pain when you're not accepting where you are and what it is right now, and giving your body and your mind what it needs at the moment. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, but it definitely, the more you're resisting it, it's going to persist. And then it created a lot of physical illness for me, very fatigued and tired. I was young when I found out I was going through all of this. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I was so tired all the time. It created a lot of disease or dis-ease and disharmony inside of me. I had autoimmune issues popping up, digestive issues, hair loss, skin rashes, headaches, mood swings. Like I could go on and on. And if you guys would like to put in the chat, if you've experienced some of the physical symptoms that you've experienced behind chronic pain, feel free to do that. But I was going to the doctor looking for them to treat each of these symptoms separately. And little did I know, but I've learned now that it was all coming from the same core place. And so that was creating more stress for me and more pain. And then anxiety and depression, those two go hand in hand. It was just really hard to focus, really hard to calm my mind. And then, or I'd go to the opposite. I just didn't feel like I wanted to do anything. And because of my lifestyle and how busy it was, I still had to get up and keep going and put that smile on my face. But inside, I just really wasn't feeling it. And then it created a victim mentality. I really wanted to know why this was happening to me. What did I do? I was just in my head, just thinking of all the things. What did I do to deserve this? Is it my genes? Could I prevented it? Is it karma? Like, what is it? I was just going, really beating my head against the wall, feeling sorry for myself, wondering why this was happening to me. And then the second part of the denial is just wishing it were different. And that's your reaction. So these symptoms would happen to me and I would really withdraw and isolate. I don't want to be bothered, didn't really want to talk. And it wasn't because I didn't want people to care. It was because I just got tired of them seeing me that way. It just really made me feel like I wish I could show up in a better place. I wish I could show up 100%. And so it really created a feeling of wanting to isolate. I distracted myself to numb the pain all the time. I just didn't want to sit still and just be with my body and give it the attention that it needed. I would do everything else, even if it was a healthy distraction. I would clean the kitchen. I'm still that way. Clean the house, get really overly anxious and anal about little things that were happening outside of me because I didn't know how to handle everything that I was feeling inside. It created a lot of guilt and self-rejection. I felt guilty that I couldn't be there for my kids. I felt guilty that I couldn't show up to work the way I wanted to. I wasn't showing up for my family and friends the way I thought I needed to or at my fullest capability. And it just also put me into a state of relying on a lot of outside help to the point, like I said, where I was a victim. I just really wanted somebody to fix me. So it was doctors and doctors and doctors and doctors. And little did I know at that time I was seeking help. But because I was getting so angry about it and so desperate about it, I was giving all of my power away. And it put me into a spiral of despair and sadness. And I just started getting angry and placing blame. Why am I like this? Whose fault is it? The doctors can't fix me. I was just mad. And it was really because I felt like I was inside of this, I don't even know, just this body that was like falling apart and breaking and in a lot of pain. And I just felt like nobody was hearing me and nobody could help me. So I needed somebody to blame. And so after exhausting myself in the denial phase, and I still find myself there often, but because of the new awareness that I've developed being that I went through the surrender phase many, many times, it's helped me to learn more about myself and what my body is really requesting. So the first step of the surrender phase is just accepting, like, this is what it is. Okay, I hurt. Just saying that, like, it just helped me just relax. I relaxed my jaw. My shoulders went down. It really helped me just become just more, it created more space for me to create solutions instead of panicking and like, what's wrong and why can't somebody fix me and why me and all this. And then it helped me to see the difference between pain and suffering. At the time when I was in denial, it felt like they were one and the same. But I realized through surrendering that pain is pain and it hurts. Yes, it does. However, suffering is my choice. And I realized that a lot of the symptoms that were coming up in my denial phase was creating my suffering, and me resisting what was actually happening with me was creating more suffering. Withdrawing from the people who want to help me and be there to love me through it was creating more of that for me. And then it helped me start choosing compassion over judgment. I stopped judging myself, judging my body, judging my choices, my past, my genetics, the doctors. Yet again, the list goes on and on of everything in the denial phase that I was just wanting to judge the situation. I really started having compassion for where I was, for my body, like all that she has put up with, like all the crap that I've put in, like the foods and toxic drinking and drugs when I was younger, and the toxic thinking and the negative self-talk and not expressing and feeling my emotions, like all of that. I just felt so much compassion for how my body has just been like holding on and just been a fighter. And I'm over here, being ungrateful that, I thinking my body's broken when all the while my body's super strong and holding up. And I just really started to have compassion and gratitude, which was very healing for me. And it really helped me open up to receive divine direction, because again, I was searching for all of these things through all of these outside sources, and they weren't helping me. So it helped me come in and get deeper into myself and really connect with my divine power. And that could be anybody for you. Some people call it God, some people call it source, some people call it a higher power, but I just know it was a superhuman power, and it wasn't just me operating, that I connected to this energy that really, really like upped the ante for my healing and just opened up my mind to how many other ways that I could be connecting to myself and this getting this divine direction and co-partnering and co-creating with this power, that brought me here into this earth. And that really took me into awakened awareness. It really blew my mind and opened my mind up to things that I just hadn't thought of before. I discovered a deeper calling for healing. I realized that there's so much power in my pain. Like my pain is my power. It doesn't mean I have to stay in pain. You don't have to stay in pain, but it's there and it's nagging you and it's not going away and it's chronic because it wants your attention. There's a message in it. And that's what I help my clients discover is, what is your body trying to tell you? And you can't hear it when you've got all this chatter in your head, resisting what's happening and being angry and taking up that space with what the problem is and focusing on it being a problem. This awakened awareness helped me see that maybe it's here to serve me. Maybe there is a silver lining in all of this, and it's not going to go away until I discover. So I went on a scavenger hunt, and I really started looking, following the breadcrumbs, divine breadcrumbs, to really uncover what I was not aligning with myself. And I realized I wasn't broken. I was just out of alignment with my truth. And that's a really big deal. When we're living a life that we weren't born to live, that our soul is calling for us to live, you will find yourself running into a lot of pain points in your life, even if it's not just through your body. It could be a lot of stress. You could find a lot of pain points in your relationships, with your jobs, with your family. It can really show up in different areas. You can run into a lot of challenges, like being in the car in traffic and having people cut you off, or, streams of bad luck. Like it shows up in a lot of different ways. But being in alignment with your truth will really help you start to solidify and see the world differently. And then you start to attract different things into your reality. And then I just realized it was very powerful for me that my diagnosis is not my destiny. Like I was at a fork in the road. I finally got a diagnosis, like after 7 years. I remember being at the doctor, and I went to an arthritis doctor because I had this really strong pain in my chest that was not going away. And I was like, I'm not leaving here until you tell me what's wrong with me. Like that's how done with it I was. And I got my diagnosis, and I remember coming home, going to sleep. I got the pain medication pills that they put me on. And then I just realized, okay, I have two choices here. I can go the route of surrendering to the pain and the diagnosis and feeling like this is going to be my life forever. or I can go on a mission to really discover like what is really going on, because there was something in my gut that was telling me that you don't have to go on that medication. There is a solution. The doctors might not be able to know what it is, but you get to find out what's going on. And that's what I did. And that's how I'm here today, being able to teach people and give them this awareness that there is another way. We're just not always taught what it is. And then I realized that the only way out is through. I couldn't go around it. I couldn't jump over it. I couldn't cower behind it and act like it wasn't happening and hide under a rock. Trust me, I tried them all. And I exhausted myself and created more pain for myself. I had to go through it. And in order to go through it, I had to understand my pain and get to know what was going on with me. I had to get to know my past. I had to get to know my patterns and my beliefs that weren't serving me anymore. Like it gets deep and there's layers that you pull back. And then I was able to embrace it so that I could use it to work through it. And so this surrender phase, as you can see, it's huge. And I love when I cycle around this surrender phase, because it definitely it creates more and more awareness, to where each time I cycle around the denial again with this added levels of awareness, I'm like, oh, okay, so there's more to uncover. Here we go on the scavenger hunt again. And so I just keep looking. And then we've got your self-care phase. And this is where you really start authentically taking care of yourself. And I'm not talking about the self-care where you go out and get your nails done or your hair done, or you go to the spa, get a massage. All those things are awesome, but you're taking care of your outer self. I really started to learn how to nourish myself, my soul, from the inside. And that started with compassion. I had to start tuning in and really listening to my body. I couldn't do that when my head was taking up all this space and energy on spinning out in denial and woe is me and why is this happening and being angry. Like I didn't have the space, and I couldn't hear what my body was telling me because I needed to get quiet. And then I started turning up the volume on self-love and a nurture. You got to nourish to flourish, just like it says here. I didn't realize self-love had anything to do with me healing pain. I even brought it up to a doctor once when I got word of this information, and he looked at me like I was crazy. And he was like, yeah, he didn't have any idea what I was talking about. But again, my gut was telling me like, something's telling me to follow this. And so I'm still on my self-love journey, and I'm still learning new ways to deepen my self-care. But I'm telling you, when I started, it definitely took a lot of the edge off, and I didn't have to take any medication because this was my medication. It was very nourishing for me. And then I shifted from self-rejection into self-acceptance. I really learned how to start accepting myself. A work in progress. I'm still learning that to this day, but it is a journey. As I'm sure you know, it doesn't happen in one straight shot. You're going to be learning more and accepting more about yourself all the way up until you're not on this planet anymore. So it is a lifelong journey. And I became more present and mindful and aware of what I was eating, what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what was going on in my body, because the pain would move around. Like, okay, what does this mean that it's over here on my left side today? Or now it's in my knee, or now it's in my neck. I started getting really, really aware of where I was feeling that in my body, and then sitting with it and giving it space to be there instead of rejecting it like it wasn't a part of me. It's amazing how much your body can stop fretting like it's being chased by a bear when you're in survival mode and you're stressed out and you're tense about stuff all the time, when you can actually send a signal to your cells and your nervous system like, it's okay. I'm here for you. I'm here to take care of you. It calms everything down in your body, in your system, and you really start to design new pathways in your brain, and your cells start to get different messages about what they're on a mission to do. So instead of trying to help you survive all the time, your body can actually focus on healing as a priority. It doesn't have to cling to a survival mode. And then that created very, very empowered action for me. I started to choose joy over suffering. Like, joy is our natural state of being when we are born into this world. And if you've ever watched a little baby, they don't have a care in the world about the things that we adults freak out over and stress over and get angry about. Like, they're just worried about what they can get into. They're so curious and they're so joyful. by nature. Even when they're feeling all of their emotions, they can just snap that off and just be screaming 1 second and then just be completely happy and laughing the next, because that's joy. Joy is our natural state of being. It's deep down within us. It's deeper than happiness. Happiness is great, but it can be conditional based on what you have outside of you. However, joy is something you can always connect to. And that's what I found through peace. That's why I'm so addicted to always creating peace within myself and around me, so that I can always get back to that joy. And that just dissipates suffering, because you can't feel both at the same time. And then I started really taking action on my nutrition and my lifestyle. Like, I had tried this, but I was really like a drill sergeant with myself when I started changing my diet. I was like the ingredient detective, and I was so hard on myself about what I shouldn't be eating and should be eating. And I didn't realize at the time that was creating just as much stress as if I ate something that wasn't healthy for me. So when I really got into holistic nutrition and moved that out to my lifestyle, I started paying attention to what wasn't working for me. I couldn't use lotions with fragrances and chemicals in them, or skin products or deodorants. I had to start looking at ingredients and paying attention to what I was putting on my body. So I started making my own ingredients and body lotions and things like that, so that I could really start to give my body what it was asking for. And that spread into my whole lifestyle. I've greenerized my house. All my cleaning products are all natural. I try to eat as natural as possible. Not all the time, I'm not going to lie, but I'd give myself a good 80-20. Well, I'm lying. I give myself a good 70-30. But it really it created this awareness for me that it was like, okay, I get to choose to eat and live differently in a way that's going to serve and support my body and be aligned with my truth. And when you know, that created a lot of healing for me. I renewed my mindset. Mindset is really big. I know it's a big thing today. We hear it all the time, but your body's going to do what your mind says. So if you don't up level your mind and you do all these things, you go to the gym or you try to eat better, but you're not taking care of your thoughts and the way your self-talk and your beliefs and all of those things play into how your body is given permission to heal, or if it even feels safe enough to heal. So if you are trying a lot of different modalities to heal, I even tried holistic modalities like acupuncture and electromagnetic therapy and Reiki. I tried a lot of those things, but my mindset wasn't on board yet. So to me, it wasn't working. But it was just because I was out of alignment. I needed to get my mind on board as well as my body, as well as uncover these undigested emotions. And then it really allowed me to start taking responsibility and owning my health. Like, the doctors are great and they're there when I need them. But if they told me there's nothing they can do and I just keep banging my head on the same door, wanting them to fix me, I needed to learn to just take that energy and take that focus and bring it back in and start nourishing myself and finding out what the real reason was that I was uncomfortable. So the self-care phase is a big deal. And then the last phase is healthy habits. And like I said, it's that mindset shift. It really creates a whole nother lens that you see life through and you see things through. So my dear sister, she has a business called Project Discover Me, and it empowers young women to really feel their emotions and get in touch with who they are. And she would have them go through a design studio where they would like design the way they wanted to feel and how they wanted to show up and design their confidence. And so this reminded me of that when I was creating this webinar, that you get to design your health and you get to design your habits and your lifestyle. Like, you are not at the mercy of your circumstances. So if you believe that, that's not true. I'm just here to blast that out. Like, that's not true. You get to design. You are the creator of your life and your health and your style of living and the way you want to show up in the world and how you want to feel. Honestly, like, you get to create that. So I started trying on new healing beliefs. Like, I really started working with counselors and coaches to really get my mindset and the pain that was stored in me and the belief systems that were false and no longer serving me as an adult that I created as a child with my little, child mind, it helped me start designing like, hey, I don't have to keep following this belief out just because this is what was handed down to me. I don't have to do that. And I started trying on new thoughts, which led to new feelings, which led to new behaviors. And I just started doing things differently. And the key word here is try on. If you don't like it, just like a sweater, you could take it off. But how will you know what's going to work for you if you're not willing to try to open your mind up and believe something different and think something different and do things different? And if it doesn't work, you'll know. But if you're doing it currently and it's not working, your safe bet is to go ahead and try something else, because the worst case scenario, you're already living. So you know you can survive that, right? I started prioritizing self-care practice. Like, self-care used to be like, I heard it and I knew it was a good term, but it was like, okay, when I have time, I'll take care of myself. Like, I still didn't get it. Can anybody relate to that? Just raise your hands if you can relate to that. Like, I had to make self-care like foundational, like number one, like I come first, not your kids, not your spouse, not your job, not your family, not a million other tasks that you have to do for the day. And I'm not saying just throw that stuff to the wind, but how are you showing up in your best self if you're not even putting yourself first? Like, just do the math and think about that. And that's what I had to start telling myself. Like, I'm giving all of my energy and my focus and my time and my care to everything else and being perfect about it. Yet I'm on the back burner, withering away, mad because nobody can fix me. Like, it just didn't make any sense. But it took going through these cycles and creating that expanded awareness that helped me find that I get to choose. And when I put myself first, I have more to give to the people that I love and care about. I started nourishing my body with nutritious living foods, really just gravitating to the produce section, and then started going to, farmers markets, and now wanting to have my own garden so I can grow my own food and just be really connected with what I'm putting in my body, blessing my food before I eat it. You don't have to be religious. And if you are, that's good too, but you don't have to be, to just be thankful for what you're receiving, thankful for the hands that prepared it, thankful for the farmer who grew it. Like, however deep and far back it goes, you can just give that gratitude and that blessing to your food. And eating the live foods means that you're bringing your body life. When we're eating things from a box and from a can, they're not alive anymore. That's how they are sitting on the shelf for so long. And you're putting that in your body, wondering why you don't feel up to par, because you're eating dead food, if it's even food at all. Some of the stuff that they put on the shelves as food, I think should be illegal, but that's a whole nother webinar. And then I started practicing mindfulness and intentional thinking. We have like, 50,000 thoughts a day? That's a lot. And about 90% of those thoughts are replays. They're just being recited, and half of those thoughts, most of them aren't even yours. They're usually passed down, or you've learned them from who raised you, from the people you've been around, your peers, from the world, from society, news, like everything, social media, the internet. Like, we're getting filled with thoughts all day, every day. And so if you learn to start thinking on purpose and like checking those thoughts at the door, because I strongly believe our thoughts lead to how we feel, and our feelings lead to our actions and what we do, and our actions are going to manifest the results that we have in our life. So that's a powerful string that you have complete leverage over once you can become aware of what you have the power to do. You can design these things for yourself. And then visualizing and creating a peaceful, joyful life, pain included. Yes, I said it. You can live joyfully. I'm not saying that you have to think pain feels good, but you can feel pain and feel more connected to yourself by not resisting it 24/7 and allowing yourself to love that part of you and really learn and discover what is like the gold just right beneath the surface that you get to go find and uncover and learn more about yourself through your self-discovery process. So yes, you get to love all these things and visualize an awesome life and design one. including your pain while you work through it. And then the second part of the healthy habits is now you've designed your healthy habits. This is where the transformation comes in and all of the breakthroughs that I had. Now you get to refine them. You get to discover your divine power and guidance within the pain. This takes a really high level of awareness. So I don't expect everybody to maybe be on board with this, and that's okay. You're just going through your cycles, and it's totally normal. You start trading criticism for curiosity. So instead of criticizing my habits, which I'm still working on this one, I just start getting curious about, I wonder why the doctors can't find out what's going on. And then I start looking at our whole Western medical system, and I realize the difference between how that operates versus an Eastern medical practice, where you're really looking at the whole person and not just a symptom. I just started getting really curious about my own thoughts and my own beliefs and why I was feeling the way I was feeling emotionally and physically and mentally. And that creates a happier space within your body. It creates harmony, whereas the judgment really shuts your body down and create a lot of chronic pain and illness over time. And even if you're predisposed by your genetics to having an illness like I am with rheumatoid arthritis, your genetics don't have to be expressed unless you're not aligned with really refining and designing your health from the inside out. Because when you're living in that judgment and you're living in that criticism and that self-hatred, and you're not dealing with your trauma, it really can express and kind of ignite the switch that kicks in for you to be more apt to run into the same troubles that you've seen your mom or your dad or your grandparents run into with their health. I started validating, honoring, and processing my emotions with ease and love versus like being that drill sergeant. Like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I so sensitive? Why am I always crying? Or why don't I show emotion? Like the list went on. I really started validating myself and honoring all of my feelings, even the ones that don't feel good. And receiving pain as a gift, deeply connecting with my body. That's the biggest thing that I can share with you tonight. If you don't take anything else away, like your pain is really talking to you. It's really wanting to connect with you on a way and on a level that is not up here in your head. You have to drop down, and there's a process to do that. And that's what I help my clients do. And then you create space to understand and respect the purpose of each of the pain cycles, all of them, the denial ones, the ones that feel shitty. You respect them all because they all serve a very valuable purpose and an equally valuable purpose. Just like the yin and the yang, and you're taking all of it as balance. So you've got your heavy emotions. If you think about emotions on a keyboard of a piano, how would that music sound if you only played the notes that were high or light or, happy or wispy? You've got to include all of them. And that's how your emotions are. They all are wanting to be felt. They all want to be heard. They all want to be a part of your process. You can't be a whole person if you're compartmentalizing things and not digesting the things that you've experienced and the negative thoughts that you may be having running through, and you're just not aware of them. That's why I'm here to bring that to your attention, because it was brought to mine, and I just feel so honored to be able to share it. And so as we get ready to wrap up, I just want you to know there's always hope. Please don't give up. If you're at a place where I was in that hopeless phase and the denial phase cycle, there is always hope. And as long as you're waking up and you're breathing and you're willing to see things differently and show up for yourself differently and just be willing to face those uncomfortable things that are going to be new for what you're used to, and building a new belief system, and really healing your emotions and your mind so that you can heal your body. I want you to know that you can feel pain and joy at the same time. I have been in excruciating pain, and yes, I don't like to use good and bad, but I have my heavier days and then I have my lighter days. But all the time, I know that joy is my birthright, and it's a choice. And you can feel pain and joy at the same time by embracing your pain and being willing to understand why it's showing up. And your body is constantly responding to what's going on in your mind. So that's really a big deal. I'm going to say that one more time. Your body is constantly responding to what's going on in your mind. So that mindset work is foundational in order for you to start to learn different ways and different ways to approach your healing process. Chronic pain goes beyond the pain itself. Like I said, there's layers, and there's that initial creation and the cause of chronic pain, which is really, have you worked through your unprocessed emotions? Do you even know that you have unprocessed emotions? I didn't realize I was sitting on anger. I don't even feel like I get angry, but I reached out and got the help and got curious to know what else could be going on. So I invite you to just get curious about yourself and your body and what your body is desperately wanting you to know and what it's communicating to you through your symptoms. And your body is designed to heal itself. Please trust this. Your body knows what it needs. You just have to give it what it needs. And it might be trial and error. You might be, trying this one day and that doesn't work and learning what does and doesn't work. But how will you know if you don't get curious and try it on? Like I said, when you're in the design studio. So I invite you to go into that design studio within yourself and really start learning, like, what does my body need to activate that superpower and that healing power that we all have access to. Nobody is excluded, and you're not defined by your diagnosis. Once again, my diagnosis is not my destiny, neither is yours. And so you get to decide and you get to choose how you want to embrace and look at and see your pain. And if you want to stay where you are and keep seeing it the same way, that is totally okay. You're just going to keep getting what you're getting. And if it's help that you're wanting and a way out of it, there's got to be some willingness for you to want to see things differently and be curious and open to try. All right. So this pain journey has taken me on a really amazing adventure. So it started off as pain, which we all know that the creation of that started long before it showed up in my body, and which led me to peace. Yes, peace junkie. That really ignited my passion. I remember for years, I just didn't know what I was passionate about. Like, I knew people around me, they knew what they wanted and they were so passionate. And I was just like flailing around, like, I don't know what I even want. Like, how do you get passion? Well, this is what this journey has brought me, so much passion. And I didn't even sign up thinking that it was going to bring me this. And then that led me to my purpose. This is why I'm here today. This is why I'm coaching. I love what I do. I love the reward I get from seeing people transform their minds and work through those traumas and those emotions that are just asking for your attention, so that you can step into your purpose and step into the truth of who you are and step into the reason that you're here. And it doesn't have to be because of your job or because you're a mom or a dad or whatever label you want to put on it. Like, what is your sole purpose for just being on this planet? It's not to work and stress ourselves to the bone. It's to enjoy your life and really connect and learn how to love yourself. And so to change your body, you must change your mind. And like I said, your body is always constantly following what the mind does. So that is what I'm going to leave you with today. And I just wanted to open it up for any questions if we have time. I know we went over a little bit, so if you have to jump off, I understand that too. There'll be a recording.
Thank you, Tiffany. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? I'm going to call out Felicia. She has her hand up, but I wasn't sure if she wanted to come on and ask a question. If so, Felicia, you can type in the chat and we will bring you on. I don't want to do it unless you really want to. So, but does anybody have anything? Feel free to type it in the chat or Q&A box or raise your hand. And while people are thinking, oh, Tina has raised her hand. So I'm going to bring her on.
Okay.
Hey, Tina, you're, let's see, there you go. You're unmuted now.
I just wanted to say I can relate to everything that you talked about. I was actually involved in an accident, and everything that you talked about, the different pain cycles, I've gone through, and part of my recovery, I'm still working on it, and I do have all kinds of issues with digestive, concussion, all that sort of stuff. But I've also leaned into a book called The Course in Miracles, and what you were talking about, the divine and everything. I am surrendering a lot of that, and I'm doing breath work and a lot of the courses that Renee has had. I've gone on it, and it's really helped me with that too. But what would you, when you mentioned about your passion and to get to that point, like I find I go through this cycle, and something happens, it'll trip me up or whatever. Not that a lot of things are under, I get it's not in my control, but it's that emotional spiral that sometimes it gets me, and it's keeping that level. And yes, no, not this, like my thoughts, I do a lot of breath work and sending love to pain and going inside. Like I do a lot of keeping quiet, and that's something that has helped me. But is there anything else that you were saying about design, or you were talking about that? Can you is there any other information you can tell me about that?
I definitely can, and we definitely don't have enough time on the webinar tonight, but if you'd like to put your email in the chat, I can connect with you further. But to leave you with this today, I would just tell you for right now to really, really trust the process. And that's the hardest part for our minds to get on board with, because our minds and our ego, they want to see results, and they want to see instant results. And when you feel like you said you go back and forth into this like emotional spiral, I totally relate to that spiral, and it can make you feel like, I'm trying all these things and they're not working. But I just invite you to just ask yourself, like, what if it is working and this is just a part of your process, and these things that are coming up that you feel like you're working up against are really there to serve you. You would just need to work on your mindset to be able to look at the possibilities of what they're showing up for. And that's the part where I'd love to dive in deeper with you and talk to you more about that if you'd like to leave your email in the chat.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Tina. Okay, let's do that. Oops, hold on. Okay, we have Angela who has raised her hand. So I will bring her on next. Okay, Angela, you can go ahead.
Hi, Tiffany. I just wanted to tell you you've been very inspiring. Just listening to your story has really triggered a lot of things for me, and just kind of made me shift the way I think about things. So I kind of wondered, like, what was it for you? Like, what changed for you when you adopted that mindset of, transforming your mind? I mean, was there an aha moment in your life that kind of confirmed this is working? I'm starting to feel this. I'm curious, was there a moment, something in particular that you knew what you were feeling, what you were doing was really having an effect on how you felt and how you were living your life?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Angel. My main aha moment was when I got to a point where I was working at a corporate job, and I was content with it. I'd done that my whole life, but I had tried changing my diet and doing a lot of like the modalities I was telling you, just focusing more on changing my mindset. But really clicked for me is when I started to face the things that I was afraid of. The things that I felt like were impossible for me to do, or I wasn't supposed to do it. Like, how could I quit this good job that I had? I'd been there 7 years. I had history in banking for over 15 years. How could I quit that just to go pursue this dream of mine of being a life coach? And when I made that decision to do that, that definitely let me know that all of the things that I had done up until that point allowed me and gave me the courage to face things in my life that I was afraid of and open up to things in a new way. And so that really is what shifted for me when I started making bold choices that scared the shit out of me. That's really my advice. Do something that, that really scares you, to get out of your comfort zone so that you can start to adopt and try on new ways of being, so you can learn more and have some contrast about like who you are, who you're not. I didn't know who I wasn't. Well, I didn't know who I was because I didn't have anything to compare it to. But when I started breaking out and trying these scary things, I started realizing who I was not and how I was out of alignment. And that just continued to build on, like, this is definitely working. I had to change my mindset to do that. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I wasn't completely out of pain, but things were shifting in my life and I was able to connect to more joy. So to me, it was working, if that answers your question.
It does. Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, sorry about that. I actually lost connectivity, so I just went back on. So that was weird. Good to know that it doesn't end the webinar.
Yay.
Okay, so let me just go back and find everything again. All right, thank you so much, Angel. I will
You're welcome.
Mute you. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna, Felicia has raised her hand. I'm gonna bring her on, but I think she was commuting, so I'm not sure if she's talking, but I'll bring her on and then see. Hi, Felicia, you're on if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question. She may have been commuting. Okay.
Can everyone hear me?
Oh, yep, there we go.
I'm so excited. I want to say thank you to Ms. West and the panelists who have made this presentation available for us. She said something towards the end that was just so amazing. When she compared the contrasting moments that we have in our life, not really calling them good or bad moments, but the contrasting moments to like the sounds of a piano. Like, you're not going to always have pianos that are playing these, high-pitched melodic types of notes, but this, to have everything and to sit in that. And I tell you, that just really, really sits with me, even as we're talking about it right now. And I just kind of I'm going to go home and I'm going to stay right there in that moment, because that's so key to living. And I'm so grateful just for that little bitty piece of information. Everything was good, but that just hit the nail on the head.
Thank you, Fee.
That's awesome. Thank you, Felicia.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? And there's just some comments in the chat. Let me just go through. Nat V says, amazing webinar. We had Kaylee on live from Facebook, and she was saying great information. I know we've gone over time, so but feel free to ask any questions. Otherwise, we can end it. For those of you, I know a few of you popped on a little bit later. We will have this recording available. I'll send it out tomorrow. You can, if you want more information from Tiffany, she's left your information here. But I'll have her send you her information as well. If you're on your registered, you'll get her information as well. So if there is nothing else, what I am going to do just real quick is, if you want to know about the upcoming webinars, let me actually put it to all attendees. You can, I just put stuff in the chat. You can look for them on my website. I have a few upcoming ones again in July, for the rest of July, and 2 more. So yeah, and I think that is it. If there are no more questions, then Tiffany, I want to thank you so much for joining us and giving us that information. This was really good. The pain cycle thing was just something I've never heard of before. So it was really interesting to learn about this. So I hope everybody, I think people will be able to use this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for Renee for having me and giving me this opportunity to share. And thank you for everybody for investing your time with me tonight. I hope you have a blessed evening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a great evening. And I hope to see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.